Hello, everybody. How are we? Welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel, with myself, Jacob Culshaw, Sam Ucko, and Charlie Zazzera to discuss the draw at the Bet365 Stadium. It did finish Stoke City 0, Watford 0, but we're going to talk about more things than just that because, look, on paper anyway, it was a little bit of a dull watch, a dull affair. Some would say quite a good point on the road. Some others would say, should we have got more against a team like Stoke City? No disrespect to Stoke fans if you're watching, but hey, I think you look at the table and you think Watford probably should be going to Stoke and getting something. Having said that, we're going to be talking about Milita Rovic. We wanted to talk about the Waskers as well, Sam, because something that's obviously come into play. Why is it come into play? It was something that we just decided to talk about today, but we thought, you know what, Stoke versus Watford is a little bit dull. Shall we bring this in?
Yeah, it's obviously it's the Oscars tonight, and we were scrambling around for topics tonight to because we're not going to have any goals to analyse other than what happened during the game in what was quite a dull game, particularly the first half. So we just thought we'd add in, with the Oscars being tonight, our Watford Oscars, and no better way to call it than the Waskers, we thought.
The Waskers. Charlie, how was Stoke?
Stoke, it was good, you know. It was good. It's a nice and away day for me. Nice, easy, jump on the train, get over there, get home. There was a good pub just around the corner from the station. We played like Elton John's greatest hits, which was good beforehand. Enjoyable trip. Just a shame about the game, really, because a bit of an opportunity missed, I thought.
Yeah, the lads were both there in the away end yesterday. The thing that I noticed, lads, watching the game back, they've moved the away end, haven't they? It always used to be behind the goal, and now you're in the corner. What's is it an improvement? Is it drop down in level, Sam?
Time will tell, because obviously we didn't really get the opportunity to celebrate any goals in that away end. But there were some iconic moments when we were on that other side. Obviously, our first away Premier League win after the 2014-15 promotion was in that away end as well. Alman Abdi scoring in front of the Watford fans in that away end, which was unbelievable. We had the 4-0 under Slaven Bilic. I think that was his first game as well, if I'm right in thinking that, with 3 of those goals coming in front of that away end. So yeah, I was slightly disappointed that they moved it, but safe standing was there as well, and that's a conversation that we briefly had last week with the Luton game, and I thought it was an enjoyable one, being in the safe standing section, and definitely a debate to have on another day, I think, because I think it definitely made a positive difference to the atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on the Luton Derby Day win, if we haven't milked it enough, you can see a really good video of Clev's post-match on Watford's YouTube channel, the unseen bits from Derby Day, which I really recommend you watching. I don't know about you, Charlie. I was moved by Clev's team talk at the end.
Yeah, well, I knew it would be good. But yeah, really good, really well put together from the club. Like giving you a different angle, and to get that access inside the dressing room after the game. He did shout out one player as well, which was interesting. So make sure you check that out. Great work from the media team last week.
Who was the player, Charlie?
I'm teasing it to get people over.
Watford have been on the phone. Sam, have you been? Is that the end of the Derby Day content for you, by the way? Because I've just about hit the brim, I think.
It's never ending, Jacob. I was actually this tonight because obviously there wasn't much to talk about yesterday. I was going to suggest that we do a 1 week on memorial sort of service instead from last week's game, and I'd probably suggest that we do the same thing next Sunday and the Sunday after that as well. And in a year's time, well, it's going to be special. Look, I think with this sort of thing with football, it's all about those moments and those days out, and it's going to be a game that Watford fans are going to be talking about for years to come. It was just a special day, a special atmosphere, like we spoke about last week. So, yeah, I'm certainly not letting the celebrations die down anytime soon.
Absolutely. We'll touch on a bit more of a less emotional game between Stoke and Watford in just a second. A couple of bits of things to get through before we start. Heart Mind campaign. Thanks to everyone who got involved in our initiative so far this season. We're on roughly about 700 quid, lads. Is it about now? 11 games left of the season. We'd love to get to £1,000 if you fancy joining us. The link is in the description below on audio and on video below if you want to get involved, and you can donate via the link in the bio. Last month, it was £7 into the pot with some interesting comments from Sam, myself and Charlie. I think it got more anti-Luton as it went down the page, which something I noticed as well. a huge shout out to the Watford under-18s. A huge win. They're in the semi-final of the FA Youth Cup. I kind of wish they got a trip away to like an Old Trafford, for example. But I think they're at home right to Manchester City. It's
going to be a tough game, but they've already beaten 2 or 3 Cat 1s. And for people who don't know, that's kind of the highest level academies Watford are, one below. But I don't know if you guys have listened to it as well. The podcast from the Rookery End guys did about the academy. Fascinating. Listen. So, that covered all of that. Spoke to everyone you need to know. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, like 2 beating Tottenham and Southampton pretty convincingly is really, really impressive. So could we do it against City? Hopefully. The fact that it's at Vicarage Road will be good. Fill out the Elton John again. The atmosphere has been good last couple of games I've heard.
Do you reckon they might open up another stand? I mean, I reckon there'll be the appetite for it. That's one to throw over to the ticket office. They're probably going to kill me for mentioning that. But, I mean, it was a sellout in the last rounds. Is there a conversation to be had about opening up that Rookery, getting it behind the goal? That would be sensational. One for Watford Football Club. Huge shout to the under-18s. A huge shout to the Watford women as well. 7 goals against MK Dons today. It finished MK Dons 0, Watford women 7. Which is a huge result for the Golden Goals as well. And another bit of news just on one of our youth players or a player who's coming into the first team squad, Leo Ramirez-Espan, who signed a new long-term contract with Watford. I really like him, Sam. I have to say, I look at the players that are coming through at Watford. Ockerson, the striker who we've signed, Irish centre forward looks a handful. Ramirez-Espan, though, we obviously briefly played against MK Dons in the Carabao Cup, didn't he, earlier on in the season? I just thought he looked so technical and so calm, and his pass selection. And granted, sure, it was like we were 5-0 up at the time, but even when I watch him in the Youth Cup, he looks like a tidy player. Is there any other players that you like the look of, Sam?
Yeah, the striker Oxen, I think that's the one that you mentioned just now that I'm excited about. I just think as well his physique and his profile is what I really, really like in strikers, like really, really physical, but can also run, looks relatively quick as well. And has scored a couple of really, really good goals from what I've seen. So yeah, really, really excited about him. Zav, Messiah Edwards as well, scored the winner the other night. I think he might have appeared in a couple of first team squads as well this season. I could be wrong on that. But he's really exciting by all accounts, and almost Amin Nabazada as well. A couple of slight frustrations I've had watching Nabazada. I don't want to go too heavy in on him as he is only, 17, 18 years old. But
it hasn't even been a first team start and Sam's got in 2-footed. Let's analyse his game.
I think I think he looks like a really, really exciting player. But a couple of times the other night I was thinking, could you release the ball a bit quicker? But I think he looks like a really exciting prospect. And that's why he's in the under-18s. He's going to learn from that and he'll get better.
That might be one of the greatest moments we've ever had on this channel. Sam sort of humbling an under-18 footballer. So bad. Nabazada looks a really terrific player. Obviously made his
really
full
exciting
debut at Fulham this season. And then obviously came on against Leeds for 20 minutes as well. So, yeah, I mean, Ian does make the good point, Sam. Gianluca Nani, Yasser Larouci, Imran Loser, and Amin Nabazada.
Amin's not on that list just yet.
Hell of a footballer. Hell of a Barnet, by the way, as well. What a head of that.
Good. I mean, to clarify, I don't want to seem like I was going in too harsh on him. I think he does seem really, really exciting. Definitely one to watch for us.
Sorry, we shouldn't forget about Jack Greaves as well. He's been on loan at Ross County this season, so that season playing physical football up there is going to do him well to good. He might not have got the minutes he would have wanted. I'm just looking here. He's started a lot at the beginning of the season and kind of drifted in and out of the team, but whenever I've seen him, he's looked like a really good player. So maybe another loan in England next year could be good for Jack. But it's really healthy and it's really good to see all the academy work, the good work they've done, and hopefully a few more can come in and join Ryan.
Absolutely. Also, the other thing, just lastly to mention about Nabazada, is the fact that he's involved in the Afghanistan senior national team already at 17, which is really impressive as well. Let's get straight into it. Actually, before we do that, I wanted to touch on a bit of breaking news in inverted commas, mainly because it's coming from reports in Denmark about maybe a forgotten man for some Watford fans, Milita Rovic. Now, the news that came out before we went live was Bromby, who he's currently on loan at, have reportedly reached an agreement with Watford to sign Rajovic on a permanent basis. Sam, what's your take on Rajovic?
Yeah.
Are you surprised that he's gone? Well, reportedly gone permanently.
Yes and no. I think I'm not surprised that he has gone. I don't think he is good enough in the long term. Particularly if we're going to build on this season. I think where the striker department, as impressive as Dumbia has been, and we've spoken a lot about Bio, I don't think Rajovic will necessarily be the answer long term. I was just a little bit surprised because Tom Cleverley, I think, used the words developmental loan earlier on in the season, or at least when he did leave. And when he did say that, that was almost go out on loan, go and develop, come back next season, and he could be involved. So, yeah, I mean, I can't lie. I've watched absolutely zero of Rajovic this season, other than a couple of clips of his goals I've seen. But he may, from watching it, and I'm sure the scouts at Watford have been watching him closely, probably haven't got the output that they would have wanted. And if an offer's come in, might be the sensible time to cash in on him.
Because, Charlie, I remember Clev saying when Rajovic left that he saw him as a project, really, at Watford, because he still had a few years left in his contract when he obviously signed under Ishmael. Did you ever really believe when he went out on loan and Clev said that he was seeing him as a project, though?
No, I did not believe. Fair play. The wording and terminology used by Clev's pretty clever, but I think we've all got eyes, and I just don't think Rajovic is up to it, really. And that's saying a lot when you look at our striking options at the moment. He was put on that loan kind of when Jefferson was at the club as well. But you'd have thought, even in the state they're in, that we would have tried to get him back if he was any good. But I don't think he's good enough. I think it was a deal which wasn't great. I think Giretta had a big say in it. But yeah, if we can get any kind of feedback from it, I think it'd be good. Happy days and move on. But Bio is leaving the club, so that will leave Dumbia, and we are going to need some reinforcements. But hopefully we can finally nail down a top striker at this level, because we haven't had one for years, have we?
No, we haven't. And hopefully Dumbia will be that man going forward. Some people have said Milita Rovic is the Scott Fitzgerald of the 2020s. Now, I'll let some of our older fans say whether that's true or not. My question to you, though, Sam, would be, who would you rather, Daniel Jefferson, Milita Rovic?
Wow. As Gary Neville said, it's like choosing which bloke to nick your wife. I'm just trying to think. That's actually impossible to answer, to be honest with you. I'd actually probably just say
Jefferson's better. Come on. I know he was bad for us, but Jefferson's better. Come on.
I'm not having it's impossible, Sam.
I think Rajovic just edges it.
He's so bitter.
I don't know. What did Jefferson do? Like, he did nothing.
I mean, he's not wrong, Charlie.
Rajovic is responsible for 3 points this season at Millwall away.
Okay, fair.
I mean,
so
my question is, but Sam, so basically what we're saying is, we will talk about Stoke versus Watford, by the way, but this is a fascinating debate that I thought we need to crack into. You're basing that on their time at Watford. Just on what you've seen so far, I mean, Charlie's been through the Y Scout clips. If you had to pick who's a better player, Rajovic or Jefferson?
Oh, God. I mean, but what, Jefferson scored like 2 career goals, hasn't he? Like, he's just not very good. I mean, I praised Iriola. Oh, come on, we're calling them goals. They were deflections off his shins. They're not goals. They're pure luck. I
think you're a bit hurt from his social media comments, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to answer from this. I think Charlie is probably going to be a bit more neutral with it than me.
Charlie loves Jefferson.
Jebbo.
Oh, superb. Let us know who you'd prefer, Milita Rovic or Daniel Jebison. But Bromby have reportedly reached an agreement with Watford to sign Rajovic. That's according to reports from Inner News Sport, which is a Danish publication. So we'll see if that all materialises. But look, I think that probably looks like it's on its way, especially when it comes out from the sort of regional papers as well about Rajovic. Okay, let's get into today's video, which is as titled "What We Learned from Stoke 0, Watford 0." Here is the Championship table as it stands. If you see that on screen, very, very small. Watford in 10th, dropped down one position, 35 games played, 14 wins, 7 draws, 14 defeats, 49 points, just 3 points off West Brom, who are in 6th in the playoff position.
We've been 3 points off. Sorry, we've been 3 points off the playoffs the whole season.
I know. It feels like I think Tom Bodell from the Watford Buzz podcast said it, where like Watford could lose like 6 in a row and there'd still be 3 off the playoffs. Like it just hasn't changed all season. But it does just make you think, lads, when you look at that point yesterday, it's not a bad point, really. I mean, what is interesting, and actually what surprised me the most yesterday was we drawed a football match, because if you actually look at 7 draws this season, which is pretty low. I mean, you compare that to Burnley this season, who have 14, but it does just make you think, if we'd drawn 3 of those, you're 3 points above in the table, obviously, because then you get 3 more points, but you get my point. And then when you look at the bottom of the table, Stoke in 19th as well. Lads, I wasn't there yesterday. Give us sort of your main takeaways. I'll let Charlie kick off. What was, if you had to pick sort of 3 or 4 takeaways from yesterday, what would it be?
It was actually quite an interesting tactical battle, how the game was set up. We play with quite a high line, and I thought they played with a high line as well. Sorry, I wasn't able to do some screen grabs to show it, but I think they were playing their high line basically to reduce any space for Georgie Chatford. And they felt like they had the pace that they could cope with any balls kind of over the top. So first half was terrible. Second half, I thought we came out pretty well, and there was a spell where Georgie had a couple of sighters and we felt like we were really dominating them for 10 minutes. And I thought if we kept pushing back, we would have eventually broken the deadlock. But in reality, we didn't create any chances. I think Dumbia and Bayo had 1 touch in the opponent's box each, which is poor. And they had a few decent chances at the end when they kind of broke away for us. So no real complaints. I just think we lacked any real quality, especially out wide. I think we had 20 crosses, didn't have 0. Tom Ince started, didn't he? And I don't think he gave too much of an attacking threat. I just think we didn't have the quality to do enough to break them down. I didn't think they were great either, but they were a lot more happy with the draw, the way they set up, I felt. 1
point gain or 1 point drop, Sam?
I think it's have to go down as 2 points dropped, to be honest with you.
Sorry,
that's not
not 1 point gain. You know what I meant. 1 point gain or 2 points drop, sorry.
I think 2 points dropped, to be honest with you. I think there were positives, of course, and I actually thought we played relatively okay. Like, we've definitely been a lot worse this season, haven't we? I just think it felt like a bit of a missed opportunity to keep up with that playoff race, or kind of dent into that 3-point margin at the moment. Sort of, we mentioned the draws there, Jacob, but it sort of comes into what's been a couple of really frustrating draws this season. I look at the Plymouth away game. I look at also the which other one away? Cardiff away as well. I thought was quite frustrating as well. And I think if we turn those performances into wins, we'd be looking up. Well, we would be in the top 6 probably, wouldn't we? Which is a bit frustrating. But there were definitely positives yesterday, and a point on the board away from home in the Championship is tough, regardless of where a team are in the league. So, yeah, 2 points drop, but some positives in there as well.
Let's have a look at the lineup that Tom Cleverley went with, as we always do. Actually, before we even do that, momentum bar, Charlie.
Oh, we absolutely smashed them.
We did, didn't we? Well, particularly second half. You look at that period, I think Georgie had a couple of efforts, didn't he? Larousse got to the byline, which some of the away end thought went in, which always gets a good reaction from the home ends. I mean, that first half, really, you kind of felt that Watford had to capitalise on that pressure. But did that tell the story, Charlie? First half, not really a lot in it. Second half, Watford the better team and the more dangerous team.
Yeah, but it just shows like that with the momentum bar, as I said, like came out really strong, dominated, looked more threatening, but then felt like we couldn't really sustain it. And I don't think the subs kind of made too much of a difference either. And that's why you can see at the end, towards the end, to be honest, Stoke looked like the better team. They had a few chances. Svic made a good save, and I think they had one over the bar or something. I can't remember. The game was not memorable at all, but yeah, it's one of those. Like, I think it shows that we're like a good functioning team. We're almost there, but we just need an upgrade in quite a few positions to get us to a promotion team.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. If you look at the team that Clevs put out yesterday, Eagle Selvik in goal, a back four of Ngakia, Pollock, Abankwah, Larouci, loser a skipper again with Tom Dele-Bashiru, with Kiembe in the 10, Chatford on the left, Tom Ince on the right with Dumbia up front. Sam, I wanted to talk about a few individuals today. I feel like it's more of that sort of show rather than breaking down the game because, as we said, there's like not many major talking points, but let's go from back to front. Eagle Selvik, and actually that spine, as I mentioned in the Luton game, Selvik, Abankwah, Loser, Kiembe, Dumbia. The fact that four of those players are pretty much sort of revitalised that whole team is probably says a lot. But Eagle Selvik again, you went quite big post match about his performance. He just seems like we've landed on a good one here.
Yeah, definitely. I thought yesterday as a spine, I thought Watford worked really, really well on the whole. There was a really, really good passage of play where Selvik had the ball. I think he rolled it out to Abankwah, who charged forward, played it, found Tom Dele-Bashiru, who found Loser. And then we just lacked that cutting edge in the final third. But it was the first time in a long time. Over the last few weeks, it's been the first time in a long time that I've seen a Watford spine that really looks like it's playing well with each other and has that clear understanding with each other. And I think a lot of that comes down to Eagle Selvik. Charlie, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I'm trying to roughly quote you, you said the words that if we have a goalkeeper who can play with his feet or is composed, it could be a game changer for us. And I think we're seeing that because I think he's really, really composed. I don't think his distribution is amazing, but it is composed and it's definitely a lot better than what we've seen from previous goalkeepers that we've had. But it just fills the other defenders with a lot more confidence. They can play around with that at the back, play it back to the goalkeeper as well. And yes, while the big save that he made towards the end yesterday, you probably expect him to make it. We've seen a lot of goalkeepers previously in the last few years not make those saves, particularly in those sort of key moments in games towards the end of games that make the difference between getting 1 point or 3 points and not getting any points at all. So yeah, huge credit to Eagle Selvik. I think the positive with him is that there's still more to come from him as well, particularly on a distribution front. I think sometimes the idea is right, but the execution's not necessarily there. So yeah, it's a really, really been a really, really good signing for us, and it's definitely improved us a lot, as Cleverly said in his press conference yesterday as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what Jeff Doyle, BBC Three Counties correspondent, was at the game yesterday with Sam's favourite man, Derek Payne. And he went on to say that Abankwah is a top centre-back, both defensively and in possession, made a huge difference to Watford. And with Selvik, the reason why Watford are now not conceding sloppy goals and also controlling games as they can play out from the back with confidence. I mean, as Sam said in the replies, Charlie, that pretty much sums up perfectly. Sam mentioned about Selvik. I was going to let you talk about James Abankwah and his performance because I think I wasn't at the game, so I caught up with it. I went on Twitter, and every single Watford fan that I saw was tweeting, "What a signing we've got in James Abankwah." So yeah, what was it about his performance that was so good yesterday?
An Irish Rolls Royce. It's like you have those games where like normally an attacking player stands out so much and wins a game, or do you know what I mean? How many times does the centre half do that? But everyone I spoke to yesterday was just like, wow, Abankwah was unbelievable. And he was impeccable. Just getting better and better that we've seen all performance since he's joined, and his passing solid. The way he can progress and beat players is pretty. You don't see many centre halves doing that. His recovery speed is so refreshing. Like Larouci got caught out twice yesterday, and again, I had some clips when we were doing Luton game when he kind of messed up, and the way he's got the ability to get back, it's just something that we haven't seen in ages, and it gets us out as danger, and it makes the whole team comfortable because it knows that Larouci and Ngakia can go forward because we know we've got the speed to get back. for for a player who hasn't played that much football, player of his age, to come into the Championship and play so effortlessly is so impressive. And yeah, if we can get a deal even to keep him on loan again next season, it would be absolutely massive, because I thought Pollock looked pretty good with him yesterday, and everyone's saying how good Caben's with him. I thought Pollock was good with him yesterday, and if we've got those three as our centre backs options, I think that's really solid. And the fact that they're only 21, you'd say you maybe want another experienced head drop in there. I know Bonner was on the bench yesterday, but I think if you have 4 players of that calibre, that is a really, really solid base for us. And I think I saw a tweet from our friend Wendover, Greg, who said he was the best Watford centre-half he's seen since John McLennan, I think. So, and I'm trying to think, who's the best centre-half that we had in the Premier League? Like, I don't think we've been blessed with great centre halves, have we? But he's looking amazing.
I thought someone who was underrated was Sebastian Prodel. I remember him putting him relatively consistent. You always got a 7 out of 10 from Prodel for me, and especially as he joins on a free from Werder Bremen, I think, if I remember correctly. I just felt that don't get wrong, slow on the turn, but he just had a brain, and I thought. But he's almost completely the opposite of Abankwah in physically, because Abankwah's agile, he's powerful, he's strong, but also the way he drives out of defence and just beats the first line of the press. And I think probably he'll be looking at his performances at the minute, Sam. I think probably if he had to pick one part of his game out at the minute, it's probably just his pass selection. But that will come with time, I think, because he's making it look effortlessly easy at the minute at the back. Yeah, I guess the question is, Sam, can we keep him longer than just a loan?
Yeah, it was an interesting tweet that from Greg. I also saw a tweet from a Stoke fan saying he's the best centre-back they've seen play against them at the Bet365 stadium since they've been relegated from the Premier League, which has been about, a decade or so now since they've been relegated? A bit less than that, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, fantastic. James Beckenbauer, I'm going to start calling him from now on, I think. I think you're right, though. Like, we haven't over the last few years been blessed with too many centre backs who fill you with confidence a lot. And with Matty Pollock and Abankwah at the back, I think it is a good time to watch centre backs at Watford at the moment. We look really, really solid with both of them. His pace and his ability as well to bring the ball forward from defence and bring us up the pitch into midfield, gets past players with ease and can recover as well if he does lose the ball in those positions. I think it's really, really good to see from him. And yeah, let's just hope at the end of the season we can potentially get him either on a permanent or on loan again.
So Jacob, he did sign a new contract at Udinese before he came on loan. Who knows what that means? That was a deal until 2029. I think it all comes down. I think they've got 2 solid centre halves at the moment. I probably think we look at it in the summer and thinks, is he happy? He's going to be getting a lot more minutes if they've got solid centre halves in place. So you never know with Watford and Udinese how much these contracts actually mean anything. But if he's happy and we have a good end to the season, maybe another loan would be great. And I just thought another defender, which I loved, Gabriel Angela.
Ooh.
I loved watching him. He didn't really get a sniff in the Premier League, did he? But when he first came in, I thought he was good. Good fun.
I can't believe you've both forgotten Craig Cathcart here, by the way. Like,
Craig is good, but just like solid. Like, he had his limitations, didn't he? Like, really like solid, but
I think a lot of the time Craig was almost the best of a bad bunch that we had. But I think having that consistency over the years, he has to be in that conversation.
Britos?
On his day, he was very good. He came to my head as well when Charlie mentioned Prodel. Just didn't have that consistency, I don't think, Jacob. Not sure what you think.
No, I think, for me, I think the Prodel was the best in quality that we've had. Like, you could tell he played a really good level when he joined in the Premier League, and he immediately upgraded our defence. But probably before that, you're looking at Jay Demerit times, probably.
Jay Demerit's probably my favourite ever Watford defender, centre half.
On Abankwah, I love this. Well, Charlie put the tweet out. I do love this tweet. James Abankwah versus Stoke. His stats, just if you can see that there. Defensive actions, 12, first in the game. Duels won 10, seconds. Tackles won 3 out of 3, 100%, seconds. Successful dribbles, joint first, 2 out of 2, and he wasn't dribbled past at all yesterday. Now, obviously, you do flip that and say, could Stoke offered a bit more? But look, that's what he's had to do. He's dealt with it perfectly. And Lou Warnes, friend of the channel in the comment section, went on to say this, and I'll get your thoughts on this, lads. If he unlocks being aerially dominant and he keeps up his performance levels, then we've got a potential £20 million centre-back on our hands. Just hope Gino sees cleverly and him working together next season is best for his development. Udinese have 2 unreal centre-backs. Give us this one. On that, if I think when Ryan Porteous left, obviously he's out on loan, Sam, there is a case where, and I'm looking ahead here, and you're always told stay in the moment, but as football fans, you can't do that. Porteous returns on loan in the summer. Abankwah goes back to Udinese. That does completely change the dynamic of that back line.
Yeah. As we've said a lot of times on this channel, the idea of Ryan Porteous is better than what Ryan Porteous actually is. And I feel like while they're different players, it's just a huge upgrade, isn't it, in terms of the composure. He's not rash. I think of yesterday, like those slide tackles that he did, those last-ditch tackles in the box. Porteous would have probably, even nowhere near it, would have given away a penalty. Like, it's absolutely huge upgrade. And I think if we don't keep hold of Abankwah and Porteous comes back in, we do downgrade again. That's no disrespect to Ryan Porteous. I just think the evidence has been in what we've seen over the last few weeks. No guarantee that either Cleverley or Abankwah will be here next season, unfortunately, but let's hope both of them are.
Ian did say, thanks, Jake. It was a joy. I didn't want to put a dampener on it, but obviously I really hope we can keep him beyond just the loan. To bring it back to yesterday, Charlie, any other players that you wanted to make a point about in their performance? Georgie was heavily involved from what I saw. Anyone else, particularly Svic and Abankwah we've talked about so far?
Yeah, I thought Tom Daly and Loser were solid again without making the difference. I thought they helped us control the game for large parts, but maybe didn't have enough guile or didn't get into the final third enough. I didn't think Kayembe played as well as he did against Luton. I don't think Tom Ince played as well as he did against Luton. I didn't think Larousse played as well as he did against Luton. Larousse had quite a few chances, promising chances to put a good ball in or have any kind of end product, and he didn't really do much. Doumbia fighting off absolute scraps, but again, really busy and making stuff of his own. But he's just, I feel for him because he's not getting too many chances. He has to make his own chances, but I didn't see much difference between him and Bayo. Actually, what did you think, Sam, of El Mohammadi yesterday? Seeing him up close, we've talked about him on the channel quite a lot, haven't we? But what did you think of him?
Yeah, I thought we dealt with him really, really well. I thought some of his movement was really, really good. Really positive movement in there. I don't want to sound disrespectful here. I know we drew to him. I thought Stoke were terrible, to be honest with you. Some moves from El Mohammadi I thought were really, really good, and they just didn't have that final ball for him at all. Partly because of Abankwah and Pollock did really well to deal with El Mohammadi, but yeah, I think he'll be frustrated as well, not necessarily with his own performance, but because of that no one found him. What did you make of him? I thought he did okay.
I thought it was good. I thought he was playing in a pretty team low on confidence, and he was doing the same as Doumbia off scraps, but he looked like he had a good touch, good movement. I thought, imagine if we placed him in our team, I think we'd be in a good way. But yeah, it was fine. Just one of those days where you needed someone to make a difference, and I was hoping Georgie was kind of getting his range with those 2 shots, but after we had that momentum, it died down. And he didn't really get sniff. I thought they had a really good tactical plan to nullify him, really, because he didn't have any space. And that was one thing I was frustrated with, because they played such a high line. I thought all you needed was some pace. Matty was looking for a long ball over the top, but all his options were with Larousse. I was like, if we got Rocco Vata on earlier, just for pacing behind and just get him turning. I just thought that was the opportunity, and maybe we could have done that a bit earlier. And I thought Rocco looked really, really lively when he came on. What did you think of when he came on, Sam? I thought he looked bright, making things happen.
Yeah, really, really lively. It's my one criticism of Klebs yesterday, I think. I don't think just the way with Stoke's set up and with the options available to him, we could have done much more tactically yesterday to have a different outcome. I just think it was one of those days in the final third. But I think if we gave Rocco I think we gave him 15 minutes at the end. If we'd given him potentially another 10 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour at the end of the game, I think potentially we would have seen him coming up to speed a bit quicker, and we would have created more chances. That pacing behind would have been crucial. We don't know how he's recovering from his illness a few weeks ago, where he did lose a few kilograms. But he definitely looked a lot more lively and a lot more like the Rocco that we've come to know and love this season. And I think the positive for me from what we saw from his performance in that 15 minutes is he's probably quite close to being at his absolute best, and probably back in the starting 11 as well.
We missed Bar yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah,
like, I just felt like with our wingers, Georgie coming in on the inside, Tom Ince coming on their weaker foot. Imagine Bar on that right, just holding it, creating space for others.
Yeah, the game was screaming. Yeah, screaming out for Bar yesterday, screaming out for him.
I feel like he could really be the difference bar between us actually sneaking in the playoffs and probably not. Because when does he come back in? April time?
Yeah.
And I think he said something a bit more positive about when he was coming back, but I'm guessing it might just be the other side of the international break, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he said he had to be careful with it because it's one of those injuries, particularly because he's so explosive, Bar, that you don't want to risk it. I don't know. I mean, someone made a really good comment over here, which is basically another positive for us, Sam, is that we've actually shrugged off the habit of conceding a goal within the first 15 minutes, which is which actually a plus, because for a while that felt like the case going into every game.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're starting games a lot better as well. And 3 clean sheets in a row in the Championship is nothing to be looked down upon at all. Like I say, there were positives yesterday. I think Svic is the first goalkeeper. It might have been Andrew French who put this in his match report. The first keeper since maybe Richard Lee to keep 3 clean sheets in his first 5 games. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, an impressive start for him, and the clean sheet I thought was a huge positive yesterday.
I don't want to say, sorry, Matt. I don't want to sound too basic, but like sometimes football is just about whoever's got the better players, and like it's really simple to say upgrade Watford's goalkeeper, defender. We look better defensively. Do you know what I mean? So imagine if we upgraded our striker, etc. And I just thought that we've seen the upturn form because we've just had better players. That's why you see in the Premier League how often do you see the better teams win, and that's just the case. But it excites me really, because if we can keep this group and improve them with better players, and if we're only 3 points of the playoff now and we can add 1 or 2, surely that's going to keep us in a good position. But we need to keep this stable environment. Did I just say we're a stable environment at the moment?
It's changed one week to the next, hasn't it, with Watford? I mean, on that, lads, when you look back at, I don't know if I'm being a bit hasty here, but when you look back at the January transfer window, Sam, and we mentioned 2 of the best players yesterday for Watford. Well, Svic has been good since he's been really good since he's come in. Yesterday, he had 1 big save to make, but on the whole, comfortable. Abankwah, brilliant. At the time, we were sat on this stream. I think it was myself and Charlie. I don't think, Sam, you were about for that one. And let's be honest here. If we cast our minds back, a lot of us were pretty underwhelmed by the window as a whole. So now you've had a bit of time. It's a month on? And I know football can change quickly. But did we maybe overdo the transfer window that it was for Watford, or is it too soon to say that?
No, I don't think it was, given the circumstances that both Svic and Abankwah were Udinese loans and looked like simple, if anything, lazy recruitment, if you know what I mean. It's probably gone up from what I would have said at the time, a 3 out of 10 to probably a 5 out of 10. We're still absolutely dying for a striker. Like Dumby has been excellent, and particularly in that Luton game, I thought we saw him turn from a boy to a man, and he was superb. But we're going to have to accept that there will be inconsistency in his game if he is going to be our starting striker. And yesterday he was feeding off scraps, and it was a really, really difficult game for him as well. Wiley was on the bench as well yesterday, which was a pleasant surprise. I thought he was still a couple of weeks away. So look, an upgrade on Larousse will be most welcome, I think. So hopefully we can see him in the squad in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely better than I thought it was at the time, but I wouldn't say it was a good window because we're still dying for something in that final third, I think. And Clevs was sold short in that respect.
I agree, Charlie. I think you can have it on both perspectives, where sometimes I'm guilty of it. I think we do undervalue what we can get from Udinese, and Svic and Abankwah are 2 examples where you can get some really good players from the Pozzo scouting network. But at the same time, as Rio says, it's still a poor window. Abankwah and Svic are easy switches from Udinese. I can't believe they didn't sign at least one of a winger, fit left back, striker, or centre mid. It does just make you think if we had maybe got one of those 4 options that Rio said there, we'd be probably more confident of getting a late shift for the playoffs, or late push for the playoffs rather. Yeah,
like I just said about Bar, imagine if we did get, say, Martial Godot yesterday as an option to bring off the bench, like a bit of pace on the boat. And we are still a really thin squad. And although we've got better players in the starting 11, the depth is not great. And we've still got an 18-year-old up front. So, look, it's fine for where it is. And I still think we're in a good position. And I don't think we should. I want to be ambitious, of course, but I don't think we're ready to get promoted. I don't think Southampton are ready to get promoted. And look what's happening to them. Ipswich, probably the same. So, yeah, I think it's fine for Real, and I still think we've been massively overachieving this season. If we can finish in that top half or near the playoffs, it'd be a really good season, in my opinion. And then roll on to the summer transfer window and see what happens then, and if we're going to end up happy. But how many teams you see end up happy winning the window and they end up being not that great just because there might be names and stuff. So the fact that Svic and Abankwah have come in, they've been brilliant.
I mean, you mentioned there, Charlie. Sorry, Jacob. You just mentioned just now, Charlie, the summer transfer window. And I know we still got 11 games to play, I think it is, and it's still a while to go until that window opens. But it has just got me thinking. I am slightly worried already for the January window because we will be going into the season already without Svic, Abankwah.
No, Selvic's permanent.
Selvic's permanent deal. My bad. Apologies.
Right.
But we'll be going into it without Abankwah. We'll be going into it without Bayo, so that's one striker. There is every chance that Imran Louza will leave the club. It's likely, I'd say, that Georgia Chatford will leave the club. Quadro Bar, I think we rejected a deal from the Bundesliga for in January. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting summer. I know we've still got a while to go, but it does worry me. And there is still, of course, that question mark over Tom Cleverley's contract as well.
2 days into spring and we're already looking to the summer. I mean, it's a very fair point, though, Sam. I think Louza, Chatford, Bar are the 3 that you look at and go, there'll be interest. Abankwah, whether we could keep him permanently. It's a completely fair question because there will be offers for those guys. And to be fair, we've kept them in. Ian, positive. There was a good comment from Jack who says, "I'm still not happy about the window. I believe it's fully down to Clever's ability to get the absolute maximum for every player that we are saying this, not because Pozzo backed him." I totally agree, Jack. I think, again, go back to what I said about, I think you could have 2 at the same time where Svic, Abankwah, 2 examples of an upgrade and us using the Pozzo network properly. But at the same time, we've got the position where Cleves is getting the absolute maximum out of the players at his disposal, in my opinion, anyway. And he said after the Luton game, if you watch that unseen video, this is the best moment of the season, he thinks, for this Watford team in terms of performances, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the perfect time to be doing that. I looked at a supercomputer, lads, from Championship.
Yeah.
I really need a girlfriend, right? I looked at EFL supercomputer and it said that Watford had a 10% chance of getting the playoffs.
Could we?
Would you say that? Would you agree with the computer?
I was saying yesterday, the run of games we've got before the international break, we will head into this international break knowing if we were in the hunt for a playoff place or knowing if we're going to be having nothing to fight for the back end season. And I really hope that we do have a positive next run of games. Millwall at home next, Swansea at home, Oxford away, and then Plymouth at home. 4 really winnable games on paper there. If we going into that with the international break, get more people fit, Quadro Bar coming back, this is my counteract to Sam's worry about the summer window. But I don't think we're ready to go up. But if we have 4 positive results there going into the running, it could be exciting.
Sam?
Yeah, I don't think we'll get playoffs. But what a job Cleverley's done to have us in within 3 points going into this stage of the season. I think in reality, as I think someone's referenced just now in the comments, the top 4's done, with that being Leeds, Sheffield United, Sunderland and Burnley. I think Coventry, it's going to be difficult to catch them now with the positive feeling around the place there. And Frank Lampard's done an incredible job there. I do think that with the feeling around Coventry, the way that they're playing, we know that the first half of the season was a false league position when they were down there. Early shout, I think they'll go on to win the playoffs, Coventry, if the good feeling stays around there. But I mean, I think at the start of the season, Cleverley did say that at a bare minimum, he wants to at least better last season's point total. We need 8 wins. We need 8 points, to better last season's points total of 56. And on top of that as well, if we get another 15 points, we'd have beaten the total from 2 years ago, which I think would be an absolutely excellent season, having lost Asprilla, lost Kone, lost Wesley Hoot in the summer. I think it would be a really, really big positive if we can get, 8 points. So that's 2 wins and 2 draws. Very well. I don't want to jinx anything, but we should get that with the fixtures that we have coming up. So yeah, that's I think would represent a good end to the season for us.
Yeah, agreed. I think March is the month where if we come out of the next 4 with 10 points, 9-10 points, I think you turn around and go, we've got a chance, maybe. If we get anything less than 9, I think I'd probably go because I was at where was I? I was at QPR yesterday, and I felt that was them out of the picture. And I kind of look at the table now, and I think from about, let's have a look at the table here. So we're 10th. I reckon it's now Norwich above. Having said that, Millwall beat us. They're 1 point behind us, so it's really is tight. But you kind of feel from 11th upwards between. It's Coventry, West Brom, Blackburn, Middlesbrough, Bristol City, Watford, and actually we've got Bristol City to play as well. And you look at our run of fixtures, lads, we have got teams around us to beat, and it does just feel like this March is so important, as Jack says as well, about the sort of 10 points being needed as well. One thing I wanted to throw over to you, lads, I think the Waskers might have to stay, maybe just park that for another time, because I think 45 minutes in, I don't know if people have got it in the locker to go through that. But what I will offer is this deal from Stuart Scott. Chatford actually for 10 million plus Abankwah. Now, the first thing to say here, it is that Spider-Man meme where they're both pointing at each other, Udinese and Watford. So, I mean, it's going in the, similar pots. Charlie, would you take that?
Yeah, all the comments said no straight out. But do you know what? Like you said, the money-wise in terms of Watford, Udinese doesn't really matter. But with how if Abankwah could keep this level of performance and we can get him on a permanent deal, it doesn't really matter how much, do you know what I mean, we reinvest for Chat, not because of what he's worth, but more because will Pozzo spend it on new signings anyway, whether it's 5 million or 25 million. So I think it's an interesting. I thought it was a more interesting offer just because if when we sell Chapdazzi for 25 million, we're not going to reinvest that 25 million on players anyway. So to secure Abankwah could be massive for us. So I think it's a more interesting debate than most people. Do you two agree?
No, I agree. I agree. I think this might be a bit controversial. In the long term, a bank was more important to would be more important to Watford than Chapdazzi, just because the upgrade in that position. Because Chapdazzi, as we've always mentioned, Rocco Vata will come in at some point. Georgie's going to be moving on. But Abankwah, that's a centre-back at 21, Ireland's under-21 captain that you could have for years to come. And I guess the question is, Sam, how much is he actually worth if he keeps his form going?
That's a really, really difficult question. His market value now is probably 5 million based on the limited sample size that we've had so far. Maybe even less than that, to be honest with you. I think it's an interesting one because if you get rid of, when we sell Chapdazzi in the summer, I think if he doesn't go to Udinese, we'll get more money for him than if he did go to Udinese. Like we could get 20, 25 million for Chapdazzi. If he goes to Udinese, it would be less. And of course, if he leaves and goes somewhere other than Udinese, there will also be the opportunity for a sell-on fee as well. And that's something that I think we're potentially going to see with João Pedro in the summer, who I think will leave Brighton. And there'll be a nice little fee in there for Watford as well, you'd imagine. But saying that, like you said, Jacob, will that money be spent anyway? Probably not. So to keep him within the Pozzo network and that being the opportunity for him to come back in the future as well, if one day we got promoted in the next couple of years, or if it doesn't work out with Udinese and he needs a loan in January, it could be one to explore, particularly if Abankwah comes back the other way.
For sure. Anything else you wanted to mention about the Stoke draw, Charlie? How was the away-ins?
Do you know what? I was a bit disappointed. I might get called out for being woke here, but I was disappointed with some Tom Lockyer chants. I just thought that was really poor. But I don't know. Just it wasn't as for like an away game after a Luton win. I was expecting a bit more buzz. So I don't know. I don't really know. Again, and I just think it makes such a difference when your team scores an early goal. We saw it at Derby. We saw it at Luton. It makes a difference. And that first half, my eyes were going a bit at half time. I had to kind of wake myself up. So I'm not blaming anyone. It's just it wasn't as electric or as lively as other ones. But I just think that was because of the game state, which was a bit of a shame. But not that we were bad or anything. It just we didn't really have a spark to get us going. Less
anti-ownership chance, Sam, at the minute?
Yeah, I think so. And that's always going to be the case with what's going on the pitch. And what we're seeing is really good. There's still the I don't care about Gino chant, which was amusing because Stoke had their own version of that chant. And at one point, the entire stadium was singing the same tune. It was a bit flat yesterday, the atmosphere. I think that's largely down to that first half, which was a snooze fest. But yeah, Charlie's spot on. I was going to bring it up myself, but I thought it was really, really poor from certain elements of the Watford fan base singing that Tom Lockyer chant. I think it's all good. It's all fun having rivalry, and you know, I enjoy all our anti-Luton chants. Can't stand them. Enjoyed the win last week, but there's no need to bring in a player who nearly died into it. So yeah, just I think we're a classier bunch than that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, agreed. Well said, lads. I didn't know that was the case, but yeah, that's not good to hear at all. And I do think as a football club we're a lot better than that, personally. Anyway, okay. Well, I think that's where we'll probably leave it. Stoke 0, Watford 0. We'll be back on Saturday, early kickoff, isn't it, against Millwall? So we'll be doing a post. What are we doing? What's happening, lads? Mad Squirrel Saturday. What, Charlie?
To be confirmed, I'm not about, but we should have something fun coming up, something a bit different with the Mad Squirrel. Hopefully there's an opportunity as well, if we've got time to do like a post-match pint. If not, we'll be back on Sunday. So keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully there's be some new fun content coming from us. It's an early kickoff. What's happened to the 3 p.m. kickoff? The game is gone. The game is gone.
I'm a bit sucker for an early kickoff, lads. I'll be real.
Nah, when you get the drinks before the game, and then you get the 3 o'clock and after, 3 p.m. is sacred.
True. 3 p.m. is sensational. It is true. It is true. Okay, 12:30 kickoff. Alex Neil's Millwall. I've seen a bit of them this season under Neil Harris. I haven't seen them yet under Alex Neil, but by all accounts, they're quite happy with the job he's doing so far. So that won't be an easy game for Watford at all.
No, I think they've lost. Other than Palace yesterday, I think they've lost 1 in their last 8 or something like that. Bizarrely, that was a 5-1 loss against Plymouth, which was a result that was a pure anomaly, I think, in both of their seasons. So hoping for a similar performance from them on the weekend.
I'm guessing their keeper's not going to be available after yesterday's horror tackle.
It's normally Lucas Jensen. That the guy who came in yesterday was second choice.
Jensen looked ropey the first game of the season, I thought, if my memory serves me correctly.
He's not brilliant with the ball at his feet, and I wonder if that will be something targeted by Cleverley to really press on the keeper, but that's one to look out for. Early kickoff Saturday. We'll be at the Mad Squirrel afterwards, so if you fancy joining us, there's a new initiative coming along, so we'll be at the game talking about it, having a few beers, as we always do. Lads, anything else we wanted to mention? Make sure to check out Hertfordshire Mind. As always, this stream is brought to you in partnership with those guys. Sam, Charlie, anything else?
No, I think 0-0. Less said the better.
Apart from the last 50.
That's the second 0-0 I've seen at Stoke. Javi Gracia's first game, one of the coldest games I've ever been to. 0-0. 2-0.
Was that like January the 3rd, 2018?
So cold.
Yeah. Someone could tell it.
There was it was Delafeu's debut as well, and a stat about that game I read somewhere. It might have been a different Stoke Watford game, but I think the ball was out of play longer than it was in play. Something like that. It was.
What was the? Oh God, I need. This is now. I'm going to spend the next hour trying to find. Oh no, it was the 31st of January, 2018. Delafeu debut. There we go. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much to everyone who watched today on this Sunday night, talking about a board draw, but hopefully we made it a little bit more interesting. Please do leave a like on the video on the way out. If you did enjoy, subscribe to WD18, comment down below your thoughts in the comment section. And as Charlotte says, we did our best, but you did well to fill an hour after a 0-0 draw. Enjoy the stream. Thanks, lads. Thanks, Charlotte. Take care. And up the Hornets. Have a great week. You would.